just so many generations and so much. I think all of us have played this game and just realized how much of a family it is. And I had a coach many years ago comment that it's almost like rugby keeps you in and then it decides when it lets you go. It's really kind of out of your control. There's a bond and a feeling there that just never quite goes away. And it's just really been a lot of fun to see everybody here today. I want to start by just saying how touched I am and for James to have so many people here. His family has come, his close friends from Detroit and far and wide, and all of us here from all aspects. It's been such it's kind of a kaleidoscope of just memories with everybody together, and it's really fun to bring everybody together, and it just seems so proper and fitting to do that because he touched so many people and he was around. I would like to thank Beth and Otto for all the work that you guys have done in orchestrating just so many things that go on with a loss like that, and all the material and things like that and the emotions. But you guys have been wonderful. I've been in contact with Beth, and been really a pleasure seeing you and meeting you, and Otto, getting a hold of Otto and having him help just.
If people aren't aware, Beth was James'
here.
caregiver in Arizona.
Yeah, and of course Jennifer, James' daughter, her husband Jesse, over here. I see Jennifer. I just see James all over. I think I said that about 30 times last night as I was drinking throughout the night, but it's been just a pleasure meeting you, Jesse, too, here. Also, I just wanted to, Brisky and Maggie just doing such a wonderful job with food, making it look like we do this every time.
Here.
They've been wonderful too.
One for Brisky and Maggie.
One for Otto and Colin.
Yeah, I've touched on James is here, by the way. James is with us. I want to make that clear. People have asked me at different spots here. He's been in my living room for about a week. I met him off the interstate with John Dahl, James felt strongly that he wanted to be back home here in Montana, and that's where he wanted to reside. And so he's made that very clear. And so I brought him in here, and I have a nice little stone for him as well regarding that. So I don't, James. James and I were very close friends, but he took a little shine to my family. He was very close to my late wife Vicki, and he's just always been a part of my life in and out. As we all know, James is kind of a mercurial soul. He's always moving around, but he's always back too. And for some reason, he just took a nice shine to our family. He was very close to my son, but also very close to my late wife. It leads me in to say that, when Vic passed, he sent a card, and in just James' fashion, he had a wonderful quote in there that I actually cut out and put in part of a collage I did for my life with Vic and all these different things. And it was a Dr. Seuss quote, and it was, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." And it's always stuck with me, and it's smack dab in the center, and that's so James. He just had the right thing. He had the right quotes at the right time, all the time. And I'm here to smile because it happened with James. I think it's early in life when he passed, but I just want to look at all of the positives of his life here. And so it's funny because to this day, I'm a public school teacher, and I don't go a week without using a James quote. And my favorite, and one of my favorites is call 911. Call 911. There's going to be an accident. students all the time, and I say, "Oh, little Johnny," and then everybody call 911. Tell them to bring the jaws of life. Johnny's head in the wall, and I was like, and so, and another one I used. I know he brought this up. He coined it. I got from him, of course. A, B, C your way out of the conversation. All of his witticisms and so forth are just a part of my teaching and my life and all those things there. So I like to acknowledge that. I think there's a lot of us here that will hopefully have an opportunity to share specific stories related to James and whatnot. But the interesting thread with him was always that he was a here and now guy. When you were talking to him, you were it, and he was undividedly attentive to you. He made you feel special, and he was just so here and now. He was so dang here and now. In many ways, that's part of the mystery of James, right? It was always about, as I joke about, I talk with everybody. He was always moving a million miles an hour, and just as soon as he was engaged with you, he'd be engaged with something else. And that was James. Like, oh, all of a sudden he's gone. Where'd he go? And he's back again. But that here, he takes here and now. How that fits into a balance of someone's life, I don't know. But he just always had that, and you could always get that kind of genuine feeling from him. And that's a theme that I hear more and more especially as I speak with all of you. So I wanted to just comment on that. I'd like to just segue out now. I'm going to have Otto come up. He wants to speak a bit, and we can begin to kind of relay more of some stories and so forth regarding James. So, Otto, do you want to?
I'm going to tell the story of the 1994 Edmonton Rugged Fest road trip. And you'll see how this ties in with James as I tell this story. I couldn't probably get through just a regular talking about James and what a cool guy he is, but so I'll do the road trip story instead. And so most of you know what maggot road trips are like. You hop on the bus and all that. And, there's a few probably don't, but it is quite an adventure, right? And so James, as near as we can tell, looking at these state championship photos, he was here from about 93 to 2006. Laird did clarify that he and James moved away for a couple of years to Seattle. Laird stayed in Seattle, and James moved back. So, that's the rough time frame that he was here in Missoula and with the Maggots. So
he was here before that because he was my roommate in college.
Yeah, exactly.
the exact dates aren't important. The point is,
Thanks, Mom.
We're trying to talk to Megan.
the point is that he was pretty new to the club in 1994 when we embarked on this 94 trip to Edmonton Rugged Fest. And so on that trip, we had 14 guys on the bus. It takes 15 to play, but nevertheless, we had 14 guys on the bus. Me, James, who was our only driver. I don't know why I wasn't driving, but anyway, Doc, Slim Jim, Jake, Brownie. Did a little parade wave as I name your name off. Boydie, who sadly passed away a few years ago from some fucking weird ass disease.
From the bus.
Boydie was a Maori Kiwi from Seattle. He came over and he played for about a year. He performed the haka a number of times for us on this trip to Edmonton, and we begged him to do it one more time. And he went into the haka, and got about like 3 lines into it, and then started into Old MacDonald, E-I-E-I-O. It's just like totally had us hook, line, and sinker, right? He was a great guy, really, really fun guy. Calkin was on that trip. Where's Dave? Give a wave.
Yard balls.
There was a jester rookie who was pretty fucking useless, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Johnny 99 was on that trip. Colin, where's Colin end up? Over here. And Larry.
Yes, sir.
So that's 12.
Thank God for Aaron there.
If anybody can figure out who the other 2 are.
Well, so there was one that didn't actually fully make the trip and had to turn back because he couldn't get across the border. Who was
Number
that?
1.
Jake was there. There was one that you couldn't pay for
I got you.
that we turned back, and I can't remember who that was.
All right. So
Identify them all.
There was
So
one
this-
that had
so this-
such egregious penalties with the United States fucking Court of Appeals he couldn't get through.
So this story is too long to tell the entire story on now. So I'm going to start with the border. So the border over the years for the maggots has been a source of stories. Sometimes an easy pass through, and sometimes more challenging. And this was one of the more challenging times. And so we couldn't cross the border until the morning. They weren't open all night, and so we camped out somewhere in a gravel parking lot or something like that, and got up early in the morning and hit the border when they opened. And the border guards really, identified us as terrorists or something. I don't know. And so they brought us all in to the office building. And one at a time, they took us into a room and interrogated us under the hot light. And it turns out that there were 5 of us that had some indiscretions in our past. And so they were all too happy to extort $100 from each of us, but
Canadian or US?
each of the 5 of us. But as it turns out, the other 4, besides me, didn't have $100. So I threw my Visa card down and I paid $500, and
You go, Arno.
Took one for the team. I got the other 4 all to pay me back. Eventually, Johnny 99 took 1 year.
Surprised you ever got it.
So after they're done with this ridiculous interrogation, it's like we figure au revoir. They head out the door, and they said not so fast. Said grab all your bags off the bus and put them in a line outside under this. It's like this giant carport thing, and this is out in the middle of the prairie. This is May, and the fucking snow is blowing sideways in underneath this carport thing, and we're all standing out there wondering what's going on. We're like, what the hell is going on? Well, so we're waiting for some drug-sniffing dogs that are in training to come over from the Sweetgrass border crossing, which is like 30 miles to the east. So we stand there in the blowing snowstorm, and finally these drug-sniffing dogs get there, and with a couple of guys, and so the one drug-sniffing dog starts through this row of bags, and he stops at this useless jester rookie's bag, low bagger, and he starts rooting through his bag, And the cop is going like, yeah, go, 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 go. Turns out there's some chicken in Tupperware that the guy had in his bag, and this dog is just chowing down on that. And border guard's like, you stupid dog. On he goes a little bit further on. He gets to Calkins, and Calkins' bag he took a lot of interest in for some reason, and we're not really sure.
The whole story was.
I'm getting to that.
But why I was suspicious is because Boydie, our 19-year-old Kiwi, dropped his bag on top of the can of weed. And I'm like, Boydie, get the fuck up and stand next to me and grab your bag. And so the cop was like, you two. And he drew a bead on the two of us for that reason. And I did have a
So they took Calkin back inside, allegedly for an additional interrogation. We all figured that it was probably a cavity search, and judging by the smile on Calkin's face when he came out, you be the judge, right? So everybody happy, and then Brownie is the last one in the line. And so imagine this, there's an office building with windows and people in there on their computers and stuff like that. They're all just doing their thing, and Brownie is right in front of this window, and he has taken the weed and crushed it in a can and thrown it over in front of that window.
I was on this trip.
By a garbage. It was by a garbage can. It was number 14. Maddie. So was Kazi?
Never travel without your attorney.
I was 19.
So the dog lunges for this can that's by the window, and the cop goes, "You stupid dog, get over here!" Beats the dog some more. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, the other dog gets let in the front door of the bus, and the back door is facing the U.S., right? We're headed to Canada. And he gets on the bus and he's like rummaging through all these chicken bones and all this shit, trying to figure out how to find some dope in the maggot bus, right? He leaps out the back of the bus and starts running to the United States. And then, remember, this is a prairie, right? This is a big flat prairie. This fat fucking cop, no surprise, starts chasing after him, gets winded pretty quickly, comes huffing back, and he hops in his Bronco, and you can see him driving across the prairie, just driving across this flat prairie until he catches up with this dog. Guess what? Beats this fucking dog and throws it back into the back. I'm sorry.
It was the 80s.
That's how you raise the kids, the same way.
Let it go, Black, let it go.
Did they even know?
Anyway,
Hey.
that's pretty much the story of the border. They did eventually let us go, like after 2 hours and all this nonsense and extorting $500 from us, so they let us into their fucking country.
Did you make it?
We got the weed in.
And the weed made it in, by the way. Brownie went over there and picked it up.
There's the other side.
Okay, so just to finish out this story, which was one of the more lovelier fucking portions of my life.
You might want to stand up, bro.
Alright. I don't know if I can, I'm fat. So we get cleared, we get everybody loaded back onto this bus, right? And I'm sitting right behind James, and he's driving. And James partakes in a lot of things in life, but he was never a really huge fan of weed, right? But once we had snuck the fucking weed off the bus, next to a garbage can, around dog-sniffing dogs, back onto the bus, rolled 4 or 5 joints, and by the time we were fucking 3 minutes out of that Canadian fucking border crossing, had joints fucking flying around the bus.
Okay, you got it.
Right? So I get get one up behind me, and I pass one up to James, and he's like, no, 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 and then he's like, fuck this! I thought I was going to jail, and he fucking hit that joint like I had never seen him in my life. And like I said, James wasn't a weed smoker, but it's and he kept it. He finished the entire joint, drove us the rest of the way to the festival, and it was and honestly, that festival had multiple stories after that were fucking amazing. If you want to tell them.
I'm going to get to some of them. I can't get to all of them.
Forwards don't pass.
So onward we go. So we left on a Thursday. This is on a Friday that this is all taking place, Friday morning. We're on our way from the border to Edmonton, and having a good time, this Edmonton Rugger Fest is a fest like Maggot Fest. There's 2 social games on Saturday, a social game on Sunday. It also happens to be Victoria Day weekend there, and so they have parties not only Friday night and Saturday night, but they have parties Sunday night too. And so we came back Monday. So it was a Thursday through a Monday adventure, and so fast forward to the games on Saturday. As I said, we had 14. We started with 14 on the bus. Apparently, one got turned back, which I did not remember.
Yeah, somebody had to get picked up.
And a useless fucking jester. So Seattle also was in this tournament, and we had a really close relationship with them. Laird ended up going over there and playing for them, and a lot of guys come back and forth. And so we decided to just team up with Seattle. And Bartelt, an old maggot who ended up in Seattle and was their coach for a long time, one of their leaders, kind of took charge of this motley crew. And so he decided that we were not going to kick at all on Saturday. So 1-800-NO-KICK. And so we played 2 games on Saturday. One of them I think we tied, and one we thrashed the other team. And had a great time Saturday night at the party. The most memorable thing about the party was that Laird...
Greg Bartelt said, well, if you guys aren't going to kick, then we're not passing.
Greg did
No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Just hold your weed. Laird. You mixed up all the time.
That's all right.
Laird.
Way better looking.
They had these beer tickets, right? You had to buy the beer tickets, and they would throw them in this cardboard box down underneath the table. Laird figures out how to sneak underneath the table and grab this cardboard box full of hundreds of beer tickets.
Hundreds.
So the maggots in Seattle drank for free the rest of the night. On Sunday, remember this is an abbreviated story, I'm leaving out a lot of stuff. On Sunday, Bartelt proclaims no kick and no pass. So every single play was a one-off or a maul. That was it. And we played against the Nor'Westers, the local team that was pretty fucking good.
They were really good.
And they were so pissed. They were so pissed because we held on to the ball the entire fucking game. They never saw the ball. And we ended up winning that game. Doc did a really good write-up, by the way. If you want to really have an entertaining read, much better than my storytelling, give that a read. He claims we tied it. I think we won it, don't you?
Yeah.
James, as I said, was our only driver on this trip. And he'd only been with the Maggots for about a year or whatever, it doesn't matter. And not very long. And, this is James. He said, yeah, I'll be your driver on a 4.5 fucking day trip to Edmonton and back. And that was James. He would stick his head in, stick his nose in, go all in, and make the best of every situation. Just have fun. He was all about having fun. You know, you run out of adjectives for James, right?
You truly do.
Quick wit, cheerful, optimistic, positive.
Dad quote.
I don't
Keep it
know.
up, baby. Keep it up, baby.
That's all I got. So look, you guys, we would really love for other people, especially those that have come from a long ways away, to get up here and share. If Beth and Jennifer feel like they want to, or they certainly would be welcome. The Detroit boys that are here, if you guys want to get up and tell some stories.
I'd like to just do a quick one, quick, easy, whatever. I'm a teacher, I'm a smoothie, I'm a teacher. I roof in the summertime, and there's one time that
Barely.
whatever. There's one time that I had Colin Bishop, who was the greatest rugby player.
Yummy.
I think. And yeah, I had Rock City on the roof with me, and we had to resheet this stuff. And these guys were just badger, like they were so funny. It's like I didn't work. I did not work. I was just crying, laughing, listening to these guys like just talk shit to each other. And Colin Bishop was like trying to like. He had to cut like a little triangle out of sheeting, right? And he's like just walking around like I don't know what he was doing. I don't like he's wasting my money. Rock City got on to me. He's like, Jesus Christ, Scarecrow, you're walking around with your losses in a corn maze. I lost money on the whole roof because I was crying, listening to these two clowns just badger each other, and it was I'll never forget it.
Fire before they hit the
It was
ground,
awesome.
right?
So that's it.
Fire baby.
All right, you guys. I've got a few 100 million stories of James. Me and James are super close. And we were talking.
How close were you? So close.
About this close. So we were talking last night in the bar, and I was going to tell the story that Otto had started, which is an amazing story, by the way. And if you got to live it, it was even better. Brownie, right? Brownie, right?
Your time, remember.
Oh, fuck, I'll tell you. You know, I mean, just throughout times within the club, with the Maggots, I had the opportunity to meet James, become not just friends, but family, true family with James. He attended brothers' weddings and all sorts of events. We being in Montana, and me growing up here helped kind of fortify James's family style here, not only just my family, but also Colin's and then the Maggot family, which, as you well know, is as special and as close as any family you could ever have. Amazing. So I'll get into a story. Like I said, millions, but I told Otto this one last night. Shortly after our excursion on our Canada trip, I headed off to Seattle to play with the Seattle Rugby Club. James.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing bad about that. We're sort of a sister brother club, it's
They're the sisters.
and it's a great it's a great opportunity to go up and give the fucking Canadians as much hell as you can, right? And to be able to play on those type of fields and their type of clubhouses was truly amazing and a wonderful experience that a lot of American rugby players just never have the opportunity to, and I'm glad to have it. But so on the way, James helped move me from Missoula over to Seattle, and it was a long trip. Everything went great. We ended up getting into Seattle about, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and that's where shit became a little fuzzy. We were 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, that's where it started getting a little sketchy, because we were supposed to hook up with Johnny 99 and Bodie Wakipa, because that's who we were going to be staying with for a couple of weeks until we got our housing and things of that nature sorted out. Greg Bartelt. We couldn't get in touch with anybody. The only thing we really could get in touch with was probably this 1.5 ounce bag of cremini mushrooms James might have been packing. And so we tried to figure out how to entertain ourselves until morning, which ended up getting fairly enlightening. We ended up parking his fucking, which we talked about a little bit last night, about his pile of shit Bronco fucking 2. It must have been from the 1970s. It was had baby blue on the side. Had I think it still had a little bit of the fake wood paneling and shit on the inside. It smoked the whole way from Missoula over to Seattle, but it made it there. So we ended up parking at the parking ride under 65th and Ravenna, which amazingly enough wasn't very far from where the Seattle Rugby Clubhouse was, which shut down the year previous. So we had gone over there, scared the shit out of some people trying to get into it because they had sold it to another couple. They had sold it to another couple. And as James is fondly known to many of his Detroit brethren as the Martian, he's fucking peeking through fucking windows, doing all this shit, fucking start hearing little kids screaming, so we get the fuck out of there. We head back to the Bronco, sitting under the parking ride, and try and figure out what we're going to do for the rest of the night. And the mushrooms helped us with that, by the way. So we ended up, I don't know whether it's stems or caps or stems, or if it was 1, 3, 5, 8, whatever. What I do remember was the Seattle Highway Patrol, because James had ended up picking out his Frisbee. If anybody ever know James typically had a Frisbee with him. It was fucking crazy. Always like hidden somewhere, a Frisbee. Well, he pulls out, after we eat whatever we ate, he pulls out this Frisbee and goes, well, fuck, let's go play Frisbee. I was like, wonderful. Where are we going to play Frisbee? It was fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. It was a shitty black Frisbee. He was unprepared, which was odd. And I look up and I was like, well, fuck. I-5. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. Right? So we crawl up onto Interstate 5, downtown Seattle, and start playing fucking Frisbee.
On shrooms.
And it must have been on shrooms. It must have been, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And we lasted until about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning until the highway patrol showed up. And unfortunately, they were tired and coming off shift, and they just basically kicked us off the freeway. But it was one of the funnest times, like picking out cars and trying to send James into the end zone, and the end zone was obviously the commuter lane. Right? So, I mean, and that was the safe zone, because really, I mean, there wasn't a ton of people carpooling at 3 o'clock at night. So we tried to keep it as safe as humanly possible. But that I figured to, as many of you maggots know, some of the crazy stuff I pulled off, some of the stuff I've been with James with and had the opportunity to be with him and pull off. And us still be alive is truly amazing, but
One for James!
one for James, one for the maggots, and one for all of those that are still here and able to enjoy and live posthumously through James. So thank you guys.
One for you using
Good job, Aaron, Larry.
It was my rugby name. I've known James for 28 years. And he was Martian to us, right? And a lot of people come up to myself, Mike who's with me, Goat's back there, Johnny, and go, "You guys called him Martian?" And some were like, "Why'd you call him Martian?"
Oh, it's easy to figure out.
Some were not. You were not that guy. Like, oh yeah, I get it. Right? So, but he talked about you guys like so greatly. So the Maggots, the Maggot Fest, probably wasn't a day or a conversation over more than an hour or two. You talked to me, didn't talk about you guys. It was amazing. So it's so cool for us to be here in this moment.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's so cool to see you guys, Otto, Colin. It's amazing. It's amazing. Got to meet his daughter finally. I wouldn't have without this event, for sure.
So why did you call him Martian?
You don't know James? You never met him?
Oh, I know James. Yeah.
I'll let you figure it out.
Tell us the story, bro.
Oh, well, it's just, it evolved. Like, he couldn't be from Earth. So, it had to be Mars. Because there's something about him. But that's why we loved him, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. That's why we love him. And for me, we played rugby together, for me, and these guys played longer, 96. He was a tradesman from 96 to at least 2000, 2001, for sure. So I know he started here, then he came back, and he, so like he never left, but he was part of 2 undefeated teams back-to-back years for us. He was a big part of our success, where we really grew the team. Give that guy the ball, he was gone, as long as he caught it. As long as he caught it, right? He was gone. But I really got to know him like the last 10 years. We became close because I would hike with him, mountain bike with him, in Phoenix, and we became much better friends. And man, that guy was just always so positive. I'm not going to talk about funny stories, but just what a great friend. He loved everybody. He could talk to anybody. I really enjoyed going out with him because we always made friends instantly, which that's not something I normally do. He can go anywhere and talk to anybody. And every time you talk to him, he always built me up, man. The guy's like, this is my buddy Jeremy. He does this. I'm in automotive. Oh, he builds cars. Like every time you walk around the guy, and that's the way he talked about all you guys too. Like he put everybody on a pedestal. He loved everybody, and he was glad to be part of his life. So. Thank you guys. This is really, really beautiful. I understand why he loved you guys so much.
Welcome home, baby.
Thank you.
One for James! One for the tradesmen!
One for Detroit rugby.
Jennifer, my name is Jennifer. James is my dad. I can confirm my dad was not from this earth, and I'm going to tell you. I just remembered this memory from childhood. My dad's bedroom door at my grandparents' house. It was like covered in bumper stickers. Remember, like radio stations used to give out bumper stickers, and you get a bumper sticker from anywhere. And he had one from this place. It was an ice cream place down the street, and it was called the Cone Zone. And he cut out the C and the N and the E, and it said, "Meet me at the O Zone." And that was just like that. My dad, from a very young age, he was always just kind of funny and witty like that. And you guys were talking about like how we'd always just go up to anybody and start talking, like at the grocery store or whatever. And I don't know if you guys had this experience with your parents, but my dad embarrassed the shit out of me. Everybody, shut up! We don't know them. Don't talk to those people. Like, oh my God. Yes. But that's a trait. People from Michigan just like can't shut up, and like they say meet a girl from Michigan, she'll tell you her whole life story in 10 minutes. But anyways, and that was my dad. But my favorite memory of my dad, it involves bad parenting and breaking the law. Me and my dad together. This one that he came to visit me in the Bay Area, and we went to this concert. It was like all these country bands at this like amphitheater with good seats, and we had fun. We had a lot of beers, and but the concerts only go till 11, and we're like, let's go to this bar by where I lived. It's called Paul and Eddie's. Sounds like the name of a great bar, Paul and Eddie's. And of course, we closed that place down at 2.
Nice.
And I was a great partier once, like my dad, and I was known to want to party for like an entire weekend. And I was like, it's 2 in the morning. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do at 2 in the morning? And I was like, let's go to this club in the city. I used to go to this club in the city. It stayed open all weekend. It opened Friday night at like 8, and it closed like Monday morning at 4 in the morning. It just stayed open the whole weekend. I was like, let's go to this place in the city. And first we went back to my house for some reason, and I think we had to like pee or something. And he goes, go back. We were in my car, drunk. We're going to drive to the city, and he goes, go back in there and grab that 6-pack of Budweiser in the fridge. And I'm like, we can't drink and drive, go up to the city.
Yeah, sure can.
He goes, go in there. He told me, go in there and get them. Well, I'm going to go get them. I'll go get the beer. and we went, so we go up to this place in the city. Like, it's not a place my dad or any of you might really ever end up, but a place with like, bassy music and strobe lights. And so I'm going to try to find some
We all have our moments.
I'm trying to find some booze. And I'm looking for my dad in this club, and I finally find him. He's out on the dance floor all by himself, and it's like strobe lights, and he's just like this. Anyway, and then we were both wearing cowboy boots because we were like at the country show, and like I sprained my ankle because I was having such a good time, and we had to drive back home. But that was my dad. He knew how to have a good time, and I can't remember more times in my life where I was like falling on the ground laughing so hard from something like that stuff.
Love you. Thank you.
So I'm the one that's going to correct Otto and when we... I can't tell you who recruited him for rugby, but James was my roommate in 91, 92 at least. We went to University of Montana, and we played for the Maggots.
Do you remember where he came from before he became a roommate?
Smart.
So was it Fort Lauderdale? Was it Hawaii? Was it out of the Navy? Was it from Michigan?
No, I knew he came to college. I'm sitting there studying with some people that I studied with. And a couple of the women that were there, he comes walking over to the table, and they're like, "Oh, that's James. We don't like him," So I'm like, "Okay, whatever." A year later, I had the same kind of study group. I was pre-med. So same thing. So a year later, I'm sitting with probably the same study group, and James comes up, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't really like. Oh, fucking, he's a good guy." Like, how could you go from 1 year not knowing him to he's a good guy? Because he fucking played rugby. Because he played rugby. And then it was like, I want to say I think Bradlar was actually the one who got him into playing rugby. I'm not sure, but I'd almost put money it was Bradlar who got into rugby.
Rugby tips, bro.
And
Rugby
I found out I got in. The next thing I know, I'm James's roommate. And how we had it is to this day, James, we come and we talk of stories about being at Maggot Fest, and James was always happy staying at Colin's house, and Colin was so gracious that this 1992-93 couch made it to Colin's basement. And now it's in Colin's garage. And it is the ugliest yellow couch.
He was white.
That could have been. Where we got it, I don't know. We had beds. We had a couch, and we could cook in the kitchen, and we didn't have much. But during this time, I don't know where it came up, but I know it was a Better Side stating. Better Side was the one that called him shut the fuck up, James. James could not shut the fuck up. One of these gentlemen, if he started talking, he wouldn't shut the fuck up. So it's like, there are some Better Sides here that I'm pretty sure they're the ones that call him shut the fuck up, James. He was my roommate. I would love to know how he got into it. I'd love to know the story how he got into rugby and how he started playing. But next thing I knew, he was my roommate as I finished up college. And we played rugby together for several years after that. And just some intense, hardcore rugby. This great fucking guy.
Now you're a doctor.
Really good guy.
And you never went to med school.
No, well, I did it because chicks dug it. But in a sense, it's like we talked about last year at 2 years ago at Maggot Fest. I come out, my office is right next to the Mo Club, so I just come out and I meet people, and I'm wearing a brand new rugby referee shirt, turquoise. And give James a hug, and he says, "That's my fucking shirt." No, it's like it was like a really nice rugby referee shirt. He says, "That's my fucking shirt." Well, James wouldn't shut up the whole fucking weekend. Anytime he saw me, "Where's my fucking shirt? Where's my fucking shirt? Where's my fucking shirt?" So 2 years ago, finally at the end, I'm in the Mo Club, fucking drunk on my ass. Probably had that shirt on. Next thing I know, I'm standing in the Mo Club without my shirt, and he has my shirt.
Did he shut up?
And he never shut up. But I mean, it's one of these things. He was a guy that would give you his shirt off your back. If he was your friend, he was fucking loyal to you.
Unreal. He was unreal.
He was loyal to you if he was your friend in many different ways. He was that kind of guy. He fucking either liked you and knew you and give you the shirt, or he didn't. Or he didn't have time for you. He was good. So in that sense, I had a great story that Beth said. You know, she has that shirt.
I have that shirt, man. He wore that.
I just said
He
something,
wore
and she's
that
like,
shirt. He's like, not everybody can get this shirt.
He got that shirt.
Like,
I'd
this
take
is
one
a
of
really
these.
special shirt. Only a referee can have this shirt.
So,
Yeah, it's my blanket now.
He's
It's
a
my
sex
blanket.
referee.
but it's like in the rugby community, think of those people that we are part of, that you know, we wouldn't be friends otherwise. We got people that we wouldn't fucking like if we saw walking down the street. But when we get to know them and we get blood on the rugby pitch, then all of a sudden, that's a person worthy of knowing. That's a person worthy of spending time with and energy and getting to know and be a part when you see them. That's what makes rugby. Rugby's a fucking community.
You're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I'd add to James, just while I'm sitting here, is that no, I'm done getting up, but he had such a special laugh, and his laugh could bring somebody out of the deepest whatever depression they were in, or just hold your attention, or just make you feel that much better that day. He had that kind of laugh. Everybody knows, everybody's got friends that have that person, that have that laugh, those that have had the opportunity to enjoy James in such a special way. His laugh was amazing. It was amazing.
Infectious.
It just warmed your heart. It just made you happy. You know, if he was in if for whatever fucking reason he was in a good mood and was laughing, everybody around him was having a ball. I did have a couple of opportunities to have a couple of special long travel trips with him. One to Seattle, one to California. He helped me move down to San Francisco, and it struck me at one point that he became comfortable being silent around me.
That's the first time he's ever shut up.
And that's why I wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It was, that was a great turn of the table for me, and to be able to shut that kid up, because not many could.
Good point.
Loved him.
So there's so much about Otto's story I'd love to correct, but like, you're telling everyone the entire weekend, and he missed the best quote of the time. Our excuse was we smoked all the weed. We don't have any with us to the border guards, and the drug sniffing dog was sniffing Brownie up quite a bit in his Carhartts, and the guard looked at Brownie. He's like, "Is there any reason your clothes would smell like weed?" And Brownie looked at him like he's the biggest dumbass on earth. It's like, "I've been wearing them." But I met you, like, I came to Maggots a little bit before James did, and like immediately he was the guy who found me and hugged me. Let's go out. And I went out with him a few times. It got a little weird, and like it was awesome. But it was like immediately you are friends with this guy. And it was also this relationship of a front row and a winger that those of us in the front row understand. Wingers don't know what the fuck you're saying. But we are in this Edmonton tournament, and it's Sunday morning, and we are hung over. And I'm playing front row, and James is sitting out fucking combing what little hair he had on the wing. And so we kick off. I go up to the guy with the ball. He pushes me over. I fall over, and it's like, I'm hungover. It's Sunday. It's Sunday, and I'm a front row. I tackle. And James is sitting down in the back line. He's like, "Hey, Dave, here's how you tackle, man. You get low, and you drop it." And I looked at him and I was like, "James, I know how to tackle. I just chose not to." And we just fucking lost it and like had the rest of the tournament very casual. I didn't knock James over, did I? He's a winger again. They're easy to knock over. But the other favorite rugby moment was playing old boys rugby with him. And we're at Maggot Fest with the Flies, and he gets there and he does this to a guy, and the guy breaks his collarbone.
He didn't have a
Introduce yourself.
My name is Daga.
Hi, Daga.
Hi, Daga. Love you, Daga. I'm a rugby problem too.
I'm an alcoholic. It sucks that it took James to get me back here after 10 years.
Yeah, shit us.
Yeah. Sorry, fuck.
Minute, sir. We love you. Take a minute.
I've heard it several times from a lot of different people over the weekend, and I knew it to be true. He was the first one to reach out to you. It was your birthday, Father's Day, Veterans Day. He was always there. And I've heard it. Other people reminisce about it in the bars this weekend, and it's just who he was. And it was almost impossible. You'd have to wake up at 2 a.m. to beat him to it, but he was always there and always thinking of others. And it was always, "Hey, happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy whatever."
Happy random Bubba's Day. I get those texts.
He had a long string where it was happy national whatever.
At one point he got tired of figuring out stuff, and then he got into just sending like fucking happy envelope day, and it's dog day, it's Christmas, it's but he was saying, but no. Hey, here's the thing. You were receiving those messages.
I thought it was hot dog.
He was sending a message out to the people that he loved, just to send something out.
Yeah. And And I loved him for it.
As you were, Dave.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
I have a real boring story. It's not about rugby, but it's all about James.
Boris.
So if you want to go get a beer.
What's your score, James?
I knew James from rugby. And then in 2014, I was sent down to live in Chandler in a hotel. I worked for Dignity Health and ran IT teams in the hospitals. So he lived in Scottsdale, which is right close to Chandler. So on the weekends, he and I biked and hiked hard every weekend. And one day he goes, we're going to Sedona, and I take it to the secret city. I go, okay, I like this. So we get to Sedona, and I don't know if anybody's been there or read about it. There's one hike. It's a huge rock. I mean, it's fucking huge. It's like going up to the M, even higher. Tons of people are there. And we start hiking, and I hear this piccolo music. I'm like, what the? And some guy is sitting there, and everybody's there to get in touch with themselves. But this girl, about 15 or 16, was sitting by his side, and I'm getting close, and I thought, oh, father-daughter hike. We get by him, I'm like, oh, bad vibe. Oh, James, something's wrong back there. He goes, oh, whatever, Hayward, just go. I'm like, wait, I'm telling you. So we get going, and knowing James, you don't just go straight from point A to B. He's like, oh, there's a hieroglyphic thing over here, we gotta look. So we go halfway over there, coming back, and we run into Piccolo Man and the chick again. And I'm like, oh, this is serious bad vibe. Seriously. And he said, oh, just blow it up. It's just people in Sedona. All right. So we get going, we finally get to the cave. We go in the cave, and that's pretty cool. And then he goes, now I'm gonna take you off to this cliff. Okay, we'll go to the cliff. And that was one of the scariest fucking things I've ever done. He kept saying, scoot further out, Shelley, for the pictures. Can we fake it? Oh my God. I have great pictures from it. So now we head back, and we get back to the cave because that's where you can start to go down like the slot canyon. And this woman and her daughter came out, and they said, we're scared shitless. There's a man in there with a girl, and it's a bad vibe. It's not safe. We need to be with somebody, and you two look safe, and we want you, pointing at James. Can you please help us get down off this mountain from that bad guy? We were out in big wide open, and James like, all right, girls, let's go. So he's got the three of us, and now we're going through this hard slot canyon. We get all the way down and get to the end. And the woman said, can I exchange phone numbers with you in case any of us hear that this girl has been murdered? James like, oh yeah, I got you. We'll just keep an eye on all this. And then we walked away. But it was all James. I mean, he took it on. That's my story.
Who's gonna sing? I said everybody here we're related to, and we got all the guns. It was just like things like that with him, where he was always just like, this is just so. He's like, there's no way this is okay. You do shit to this is just not okay. It was so much fun to have those conversations with him, where he was always in the background. I think everybody here has said it, and it's always really. It's so true. I think everybody looks and goes, man, James was one of my best friends. And you felt it and you believed it. And it's because it was. I think it's because he felt the same way. And he was the thoughtful person. He was always coming up with something. He was always the person that was going to, if at the end of the day something needed to be said, even if it had to be invented, he was going to be there and was able to come up with and use that wit and use that verbal communication, just come up to you, and next thing you know, you're just like, wait a second, if you needed levity, it was there. If you needed something funny, he had it. It was always along the way with that, and one of the things he said, and got down and we rode in on horses, and everybody's coming in with shotguns and horses were coming riding in, and he just goes up and goes, man, TR, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and at the end of it, he said to me, he goes, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I couldn't ride a horse, but I'll ride anywhere with you.
And it was just one of those things, and I'm glad I got to go on the ride with him.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Jump on in.
On a hot seat.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know, some degenerative disc disease. But of all the times, because I'm one of those people, I think Meg nicknamed me "How do you solve a problem like Maria?" So you can understand how your father and I were good friends. We wouldn't stop talking. We had no filter. Always smiling, just always saying inappropriate things. And one time, about 10 years ago, he had been drinking and at a bar, and he told me something like he had a daughter, and I'll never forget. I was like, "What the fuck? You have a daughter? Like, you're a dad?" And he just looked at me like, "Why does that surprise you?" And I'm like, "Fucking hey, James, you're a fucking dad?" And I just couldn't believe it. And then we told stories about how obnoxious we were as parents and all the shit we did to our daughters, and I was like, "God damn, I love you even more now." He loved you a lot, and I just want to say how good it was to see you smile, because my God.
For those of you that don't know, my dad was 16 when I was born.
Pay attention to health class.
For James, he probably paid attention. He just wanted to test it. This is how it works.
Shooter McGavin.
Hey. I was James' roommate for a year in Seattle, but I originally met James in 1990. I started school, and I'd go to the weight room, and James was there every day. And every day he was on me about joining the Maggots. And then every day after I'd go to the gym, I would go to the cafeteria, and James would be there waiting for me because he knew I had a punch card, and I was going to buy him lunch. It took him a year, but after 1 year, I started playing for the Maggots because he just wore me down, him and Jason Ray. I finally said, "Fuck, all right, I'll go out and play." So the reason I started playing rugby was James just hounded me. And the reason I moved to Seattle 30 years ago, because James called me up out of the blue in December of 93 or 94 and said, "I've got this beautiful condo on Green Lake, waterfront access," and I should have known he was full of shit.
100. Because I lived in the shack he was living in.
It's sandwiched in between a Vitamilk and a fire station. So imagine how.
And Johnny Lear's fucking dirty underwear.
Yeah. But I lived with James for a year, and one thing I knew, you could burn James to get under his skin. He had that shitty white oak. He had a waterbed. He had a big white oak picture frame thing in the waterbed, and the waterbed exploded. So one Saturday morning, he woke me up and said, "Hey, let's drive down. They're selling mattresses." We drove down to Aurora, which is where the prostitutes and the drug dealers go, underneath the Space Needle, and James bought a mattress from Holiday Inn for $10.
I used to poke his waterbed with a bobby pin, so it would leak very slowly and just soak him.
So we put that fucking mattress on my Toyota Camry wagon and drove him back to Fort I had forgotten that story until I was driving down Aurora like 2 years ago, and I called him up and said, "Hey, do you remember buying that fucking mattress from the Holiday Inn on Aurora?" He was like, "Fuck you." James was like, "Whatever happened to that mattress?" He goes, "Oh, I sold it and went amok in the back." He was unreal having him for a roommate and a friend. Yeah, he was. The other good story I have is he and I went to watch the Super Bowl at the Allen Thistle in Seattle. Yeah. The Irish bar.
Yeah!
And after the game, I was driving home and I ran
a police officer off the road because I was driving on the wrong side of the road. So the officer tried to get me out of the car. I had that Camry wagon and the thing wrapped around my neck, so I almost choked myself out. So she said, remain in the car, and she took James out and spoke to him. And when he came back to the car, he put me in the passenger seat. He got in the driver's seat and drove off and handed me her phone number. He said, she wants to talk to you later.
That's a fucking wingman.
The Martian was a wingman. I didn't call her. I was like, one more story I gotta tell. My partner and I were down in Scottsdale, so I said, we gotta meet up. We go to a bar in the middle of the day, and we drive us to the bar. Cold beer and cheeseburgers. It's his favorite bar down there. And as we get out of the car, I put a huge bag of mushrooms in his glove box. So we're sitting at the bar, and I said to him, hey dude, before you go, I gotta tell you, I put a present in your glove box. He fucking jumps off his stool in the middle of the day, runs out, comes back to the bar. My partner's never met him. He hands her a big old bag of mushrooms and hands me a big bag in front of like an entire bar. I'm like, what are you gonna do?
Pass the bag. James's real angel.
Are they calling you?
Right here, her name is Beth.
100%.
He was mine. I know. He loved you all. What I did was fuck, I have no words. He gave so much more to me in that time because you all know how full of love and fun and life he was. So to spend that time with him he gave more to me than I ever, a fraction gave to him. And he loved you people. I didn't get it. Like I got it because I knew him and I knew when he said he loved somebody, he meant it. He wasn't screwing around. I came here, I met you and I went, he was the most beautiful man I have ever met. And you were his people. He loved all of you so much. Like, the stories are great. I've got some good ones, but that's for another time. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm over here mumbling with my friends in this. Martian is Martian. I got you guys. Your coach nailed that. When I first got to know James in the mid '90s when I moved here, we'd go on these big road trips, and a little trip with James turned out to be a 12-hour.
Oh, man.
But I grew up liking Kiss. And as a kid, I had the Kiss Destroyer album, I just stared at it all the time, and I just loved that song, Detroit Rock City, And it just came to light, I think, because he was from Detroit, and he drives fast. He was Detroit Rock City, so he really...
Fast as that Bronco 2 would go.
And he embraced that.
He really, especially with his brothers here from Detroit, are kind of saying how much he really liked that. But it's funny, I got to reciprocate and say he's the Martian too,
Yeah.
So, but he's all those things. But he's Detroit Rock City. He drove fast, but it was beautiful.
Jamestown after midnight.
Anyway, just wanted to add that about Detroit Rock City.
So we have this plaque. They passed on to the Big Fest in the Sky plaque. If you're on it, you died too early. We'll get James on here. We'll also get Andy Fife on here that died earlier this summer of cancer as well. We're going to memorialize him at the Maggot Formal this winter. There's guys on here, you know, some of them died of car accident, like Harrison Wise. Some died of some weird ass freaking disease, like I mentioned Boydie earlier, or you know, we got James,
Avalanche.
we got James and Andy. And the old saying is, if you got a lot of people at your funeral, that's not a good thing because you died too early. So, yeah, you don't want to be on this plaque. But it's really cool to have everybody come and participate in this memorial. So, thank you.
Thanks, John.